This is the Bureau of Love and Creativity for Policy and Program Entrepreneurship, Research, Grant Making, and so forth. I was listening this morning, to the Curious City, a program of Chicago's WBEZ public radio. I listened to their podcast, Curious City, and they were discussing in the episode published sometime around today, which is May 6th of 2021, citizen-initiated legislation in Chicago city government. There's a provision where, quote, citizens, and I wonder why not residents, usually on a city basis, it's citizen isn't a qualifier unless you're running for certain kinds of office. But citizens can submit legislation proposals through the clerk's office, and those then get forwarded to have some kind of hearing in front of the council. Whether or not they'll go to a vote entirely depends on the politics of the people who are elected in these different governing positions. So the mayor and different heads of city departments or commissions. And that was very interesting. There's been maybe 40 records of citizen-initiated legislation since 2010, in the ballpark thereof. None of them have ever been passed. And there's an opportunity there for a little more democratic process. So when our elected leaders are not listening to we the people, there is, as Governor Pat Quinn put it, some kind of stop valve. He called it something to the effect of a way for this pressure of public demand for something to get released and turned into at least legislative consideration, if not actual policy. What's the path from public demand to policy is the point. So this had me thinking on a related track about the need for our policies and our public programs to have more heart in them. So what does it look like when a government more fully honors the livelihood, the experience, the creativity, the potential, the hope of its people, the heart that actually constitute our society, the collection of hearts? And what emerges for me in my vision of the future, let's make it the near future, is something of a bureau, some kind of department that works to infuse love, an honoring of the individual experience, an honoring of the experience that people go through in interacting with their fill-in-the-blank city, with their trip to the DMV, with their journey on buses and trains and bus and last mile, last half mile divvy bike. But how do you do that if you're differently abled and can't ride a divvy bike? And how do the systems of our places respond to the needs of people who maybe don't have the platform that a college-educated white male has in our policy process. So there's a lot of places that we could take this, but the 10,000 foot idea is, what does it look like when our policies and programs are designed through a lens of love? And also, when we look to the future to say, well, let's design for where we want to go, not just respond to the 50-year past, let alone respond out of the moment, but let's respond proactively to where we're trying to get to. And how do we be a little more nimble in that process? And so some kind of bureau that's able to cut through some of the regulatory throttling on innovation in policy, in business, in public programming, in certain kinds of nonprofit programs, to prototype. What does the emerging future actually look like? So then it's easier to get an idea, and then to get things passed into more concrete law, or to see inefficiencies of regulations that we have and work with those regulators, have an authority to work on the same plane and co-create and redesign some of the policy that is a little too archaic, that we're still relying on in our regulatory bodies. So how is existing policy throttling the ability of government to more express love through its policy to its people, and to honor the creative futures of our, of where we're going together. So there's so many different ways that this could be applied. There's so many different things this could mean. But this is a sketch of something that I believe we should have. We should have a government that's flexible and nimble enough to intervene in the moments when our hearts and our hopes are on the line. So there you have it, a rough sketch of the area of the Bureau of Love and Creativity. I'm curious to see what you think. Where is this kind of exploration already being prototyped? What are models, analogs that already exist out there? Parallels, if you will. And let's look to those, and let's think and work to bring those into our local and state and federal levels. And the whole goal is that we together become, and we include all of these systems and structures and governmental policies and procedures, that we together become more honoring of each other, more responsive to injustice, that we're able to pivot when these injustices and these cries for reconsideration of how the system is structured come up. We can be quick to pivot. How do we build that in? And so, there's that. Chew on it, and let's digest and integrate and turn it into something that actually works in our body politic. Ciao for now.